So, Anne-Marie Martin, welcome to the Disenfranchised. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you, Ed. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you very much. Again, it seems to be every time I record a podcast, the sun is shining and it just puts a brighter spin on the day, doesn't it? So,
Oh, definitely,
yeah,
definitely. I'm definitely in a better mood for that sun being out.
exactly. And with the April the 12th coming up, yeah, in a few days' time, it's quite exciting time because, well, hopefully by the time this podcast is released, I'll be in the pub garden having a few beers. So,
You won't be listening to it because you'll be like 5 beers in, not listening.
yeah, well, we've got a babysitter for the night as well, Heather's parents. So yeah, we're going for it. It'd be good fun.
Wow,
But
that is good planning. It's my husband's 40th on the 12th,
oh,
so
okay.
we're trying to schedule things in, and yeah, I'm sure I know he's booked things in with friends as well all that week. So yeah, good times.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, look, let's get on with the podcast. So, I always start with asking everybody what their first job was after education, and I'll be quite interested to find out what yours is and see if it fits in my mind with what I imagine it might have been.
Well, so I got my degree in dance. So I've danced since I was little, and luckily found a passion for what I wanted to do from a very early age. So, as the life of a dancer, my first job was a dancing job. Now I trained in very serious ballet and contemporary dance. However, my first job was actually in feathers on a cruise ship. So it's completely different. I travelled between Sweden and Finland on a cruise ship on, I think it was about a 5, 6 week contract, dancing around, lip syncing to songs. So yeah, that was the first job I ever had.
Fantastic. So, did you actually get to see anything, or were you always in performance mode? If you see what I mean.
Always on the boat. I think a lot of the cruise ship contracts, you go around and you see amazing places, but that was the only one I ever did, and it was literally it just went Sweden, Finland, Sweden, Finland. So it was just almost it was known as a bit of a party boat. So people just went on there to party or literally to use it as a crossing. So yeah, we I think we managed to catch one evening just after the show and went to Helsinki for the day before we picked up the ship again that evening, ready for the next day's show. So that was about all we got to see, unfortunately.
Fair enough, but I guess it was an experience anyway, and something to put on the CV.
Absolutely, yeah. Is that what you pictured?
I was going down the serious ballet route, but
That would have been ideal. I did move on to a serious job. I was in a contemporary dance company at the Royal Opera House for just over a year. So yeah, that's maybe the job I should have mentioned. But
no, that the other one's much more interesting. But I'm interested though to find out what the pressure was like working, in the Royal Opera House. You said that must be an intense, really, and quite nerve wracking to be in front of an audience that are.
I just think any job that you do is intense because it's just even from the audition process, you're immediately judged, and sometimes you're judged before you've even danced. So there'll be a certain look or a certain height, and that's it. You leave the room. But we were in a contemporary dance company at the Royal Opera House, so we weren't actually on the main stage. We were on the studio stage upstairs, so it wasn't on the big main stage. But yeah, some of the stages I have danced on to thousands of people. It can be really overwhelming, but then it's that training and preparation that you've had from college and all of that that actually gets you used to that. So, and I did meet Darcy Bussell in the lift once. I was like very
Oh, very
starstruck.
nice. Yeah.
Only once.
Did you meet many stars, like while you were doing this, or perform with anybody, or was this kind of something that was perhaps a different sort of scenario or a different area to what you were doing at the time?
No, I had a really I mean, some of my dancing friends, toured all over the world and danced with massive names like Pink and Taylor Swift. But
Yeah.
on my level, I did the Brit Awards, I did Top of the Pops, I did various different music videos, and yeah, Smash Hits poll winners parties, and yeah, I toured around enough. I danced in Afghanistan. Yeah, I had some amazing jobs and met some great artists and celebrities, but it's also that it sounds a lot more glamorous than it was in the backing dancer world. It's not very glamorous at all, but exciting and good all the same.
Yeah. So, did you ever have kind of an urge to be the person at the front at all? I mean, did you think about maybe taking singing lessons and saying, right, I'm going to be the one at the front, or?
No, not with this voice. Not with this voice. No, definitely not. Yeah, I think it's just what you're used to and what your level of confidence is. I think when I did more of the ballet and contemporary performances, so I was in a touring company in my last year at university as well. And so I was soloist there, and that I loved that, dancing on my own in my element. But the thought of, I think, go into more of a pop world or that entertainment world and being that focal point.
Yeah.
No, I was quite happy in the background. Don't get me wrong, if you're ever there and you're dancing along and you get noticed on screen, that's a great thing. But yeah, I don't think I'd have liked that full on being that central focal point, I think.
Fair enough. So what is it about dance that you enjoy the most? What's the kind of passion for you in dance, and perhaps that maybe has changed over the years, but what was the initial passion for you?
You're right, it definitely has changed over the years, and I think through all the various jobs and then moving into teaching and teaching with the different age groups, that changes your focus. For me, when my mum dropped me off at the first dance class when I was about 3, I just loved it. And I remember her saying, I tried, I think, ballet, tap, gymnastics and modern, and she said, right, pick one of them you want to do. And I was straight away, no, all of them. So it was obviously something I loved and I enjoyed doing it. And even when I became a teenager, when a lot of my friends dropped out, I still loved it, so carried on. And then through doing the more musical theatre or the commercial dance, I went down more of the serious side. So I think I saw dance as a real artistic, creative thing to do, and I could really express myself through it. So through all the contemporary side that I did. Then when I moved into performing more, when you're seeing sort of an audience enjoy what you're doing, or you're dancing at the Brit Awards for an artist and it's all, lights, camera, action, that you get a buzz out of. There's definitely an adrenaline rush through any element of performance that is there. But then after the performing, I kept teaching the whole way through, even from university, but it was always a sideline. So then when I moved into teaching all different ages after the performing, seeing that reward of somebody doing something you've taught them, that's a very different motivation then. And then when I moved into Diddi Dance, nearly 18 years ago now, I'd never worked with under fives before. So working with that age group is a whole different level, because you see the first time they do something, the first time they'll hold a hand, the first time they'll gallop somewhere. So for me now, it's knowing that you're making such a positive first impact on somebody viewing a dance class or viewing physical activity. And then even just lately during lockdown, I've started doing these free dance lives on one of my social media platforms. And the boost it gives people for their mental health has made me think about dance in even more of a way of how it is really huge just for lifting your mood. So I see it as a really, we now sort of say at Diddi Dance, a really healthy and happy start in life. And I think that's such a key thing of what dance or physical activity can do for someone now, just that, lifting your mood and releasing your happy hormones. It's definitely changed over the years what dance has meant to me, definitely.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because you kind of think someone who has a passion for something, it's just that, and there's no variation to it. But actually, you've gone through like this whole spectrum of emotions and feelings that dance has enabled you to feel, but just in different ways at different times. So it's quite interesting. In terms of teaching then, so that's something you moved into after having a professional dance career, is that right?
Yeah, I taught even when I went off to do my A levels, I would go back to my old secondary school and assist my PE teacher was very into dance at the time. She was maybe the one that got me into the contemporary side of dance. And so I would go back and assist her on the GCSE classes because I was really enjoying it. Excuse me. And I always kept it up a little bit. And then for my dissertation at university, I did dance movement therapy and dance with special educational needs. So I enjoyed that side of it as well. So I tried to keep up the teaching in between the dance jobs. But really, I took it more as a full-time role once I'd retired from performing, as it were.
Yeah, fantastic. So well, I know you started, is it 2003, wasn't it, Diddi Dance?
Yeah.
So what was your kind of light bulb moment where you thought, actually, I'm going to do this on my own? I'm going to set up my own business and teach 5-year-olds?
So I taught older children, and I think at that time I was sort of teaching loads of dance schools in an evening, and then I was in performing arts colleges and classes at the weekend. So Monday to Friday, I'd done some promotional work and hospitality work, and I even worked for an agency for a while, booking staff at events, but it just wasn't for me. And so Monday to Friday, I started looking for any more teaching work that I could get. And I ended up getting a job at a play centre in North London, working with babies and toddlers in these play classes. And it was actually there that a load of the adults in the classes were going, oh, do you know what, Anne-Marie? We've been looking for a little dance class for them. I know they're only 2, but they're really enjoying moving to music. You're a dancer, you start something. I was like, 2-year-olds, I'm not really sure what I'd be able to do there. But through working in the play classes with them, I could see that they were retaining things through the repetition week on week. So I thought I'd go down that route, and I looked at hula hoops and ribbons and pom-poms, and so I just set it up. They literally booked me a venue, told me to turn up and teach. So I was almost just forced into it, and it was the best thing ever because class after class just filled up straight away. And it was that moment I thought, oh, okay, there could be something in this. I think there's a gap in the market. Again, back in 2003. Let me explore this a little bit further. So I think it was being forced into it and seeing its success is what actually made me think about starting it as a business.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite innovative, I guess, for back then, because I still don't think that there's that many classes for young kids nowadays. Not in my area anyway, down here in Kent. Perhaps we're forgotten about because we're too near to London. But it seems to be there's only 1 or 2 available within your time slot. So, to think about that 18 years ago, I guess there must have been loads of people desperate to do something with their kids that was different to just letting them go around a soft play or something like this. So
yeah, it was massive. It really took off because, as you say, there are actually loads of preschool activities now all over the place. But back then, there wasn't. The play classes I worked for, it was an American company actually. I worked for Jim Barry for a while, for a couple of years, and there was that. But then, as you say, it was sort of toddler groups, play groups. So for me to come along and do this 45-minute sort of structured dance class was quite different. And I think the feedback was that a lot of dance schools were doing little ballet classes, but it was still quite a formal setting.
Yeah.
And even at 2 and 3, it was a drop-off situation. And I think the feedback was coming in that it was just a bit too formal, and they were coming out going, oh no, I don't want to do dancing. I don't want to do dancing. So that motivated me even more because, growing up as a dancer, to hear a small child being put off dancing because it was just a bit too formal for that age group, I'd sort of made it my mission then that I wanted their first introduction to a dance class to them. I wanted them to come out buzzing and loving it and want to come back every week. So I just tried to make it as relaxed and informal as possible so that then they can move on to the more formal dance classes when they are 5 and 6 and have that love from the beginning to then take it onto the next level when they're a bit older.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that because my daughter was pretty shy dancing in front of other people in all the ballet gear to start off with, and she didn't really want to go in there on her own, and I feel like she had to perform. I guess it's similar when you were in front of a big audience, you're feeling perhaps overwhelmed at times. To her, that's a big audience, of 10 other
Yeah,
kids and a teacher. That's
exactly.
It's quite a lot of pressure, isn't it, on a young child? So having it in a more informal way, I think, really makes sense to me because it's just let's go and have some fun, and if you feel like dancing, dance. If not,
Exactly, and that's what it
listen
is.
to the
It's a
music.
stepping stone, absolutely. And even sometimes in classes, you'll get the parents come in with them, and they're like, "Well, they're not joining in," and you just gently sort of say, "Well, imagine I threw you as an adult into a class of 10, 15 people you didn't know, put on music and told you to dance. Dance can be a really intimidating thing to do in front of people you don't know, like you've just said about your daughter. So it's about making it fun, obviously, but also giving them time and patience to join in at their own pace. And that's what we push a lot as well. It's not formal. It's not about joining on everything. It's about come and have fun. And if you keep enjoying it, then you might want to do it when you're a bit older as well.
Cool. So, your business then, how did you start to grow that business? Was it all through word of mouth, or did you start to have a bit more of a strategy and a plan?
It The classes in just Islington just blew up, and I think I was on about 7 full classes a week just in that one area. But I also appreciated that that was a very affluent area, lots of stay-at-home parents or nannies, and so it did work well. There was lots going on there. So what I wanted to do was then test other areas. So I was actually living in Southeast London. So I opened a class in East London, and then I opened a couple of classes in Southeast London just to check different areas. So at the time, I wasn't really planning, but when I look back, it was all quite planned quite meticulously, but randomly, organically. And those areas worked as well. So I thought, okay, this could be a good concept. But then I needed to know if it could work taking me out the equation, which I
Yeah.
think at the time I wasn't necessarily thinking about franchising and expansion that way. But I think if you're going to grow any sort of business, you've got to see if the model you've created can still work when you take the creator out of the equation. So I needed to know if people were just buying into me and my energy and my passion, or whether what I'd created would still be successful. So I took on a couple of teachers, and they took over a couple of classes for me, and it still worked. So I think
Yeah.
having tested the areas, tested with teachers, I knew that it was then a concept that I wanted to look to expand. And then I started looking into franchising and looking at that as the route to expansion.
So why did you consider franchising? Because to a lot of people, it's this big retail brands that hundreds of millions, and it's not not for a business like this for it, which is in essence toddler classes, right? It doesn't seem like it's ripe to be this one of these horrible franchises that everyone knows about, right, or thinks they know about. So
Yeah, and that is the problem. The misconception around the word, especially in the UK, is huge, and I think it gets watered down and confused with many different phrases that the word franchise is used with. But really, when I started looking at it, I knew that some physical activity work, like fitness, was licensed. So you would do your day or weekend course, get your certificate, and licensed to use that brand name and do it wherever you wanted. But for me, I think I wanted a Diddi Dance class to be the same experience wherever you went. I think because when you're working with under fives as well, there's a great pressure on your shoulders because it's their first introduction to something to make sure it's taught in the right way, to make sure the delivery of it is age appropriate, and just to make sure you engage in them in the right way. So I think for me, I don't know, maybe a bit of a control freak as well, but I knew that I wanted that ethos to tie in with the brand and be the same ethos wherever it was delivered, rather than, oh, here's what you've learned, go and do with it what you will. I wanted to build a brand that people trusted and people thought, yes, I know that by taking my child along to that class, it's going to be done in the right way. So that's why I decided to look at franchising rather than licensing, and build the brand. But also, I think I wanted people to have that exclusive area as well. I didn't want to build up this competitive network of Diddi Dance instructors that were all treading on other people's territory or doing with it what they wanted. So yeah, after exploring it, I thought, no, franchising is the route for me. And also that whole, I couldn't run it from head office and hire teachers in these areas and really well and truly know that it was delivered in the right way. But also I didn't have that local knowledge of all these areas. So giving somebody that opportunity, not only to build their own business, but trust them and they're passionate about your brand to deliver that in their area as well. I just thought, what a great opportunity to give somebody that chance of running their own small local business in their community. And that for me is the best model to grow it with.
Yeah, I think that's interesting you say their local community, because that's often the thing that gets forgotten about with franchising, right? Is people think it's a big corporate company that sort of just collects up all this money, but actually it does help. The majority of the franchise brands that are out there are helping their local communities in one way or another. They're supplying jobs, they're challenging and helping with mental health, all sorts of benefits to them, isn't there, that kind of goes around in that local community. So interesting that you mentioned that as part of your reason why you decided to go down that franchising route.
It's such a massive misconception, because people they go, oh, you're just a big faceless franchise brand. And, we get it a lot in the dance world as well, that, oh, well, don't go with them because they're just a faceless franchise brand. But actually, the only difference is they are all local, independent people paying them for their mortgage, bringing up their kids, bringing up their family. It's exactly the same. They are still independent business owners. The only difference is we just give them some extra support and guidance to make sure they're doing it right. And I think in this pandemic, it's been more apparent more than ever how much being part of a network has had its massive benefits, rather than being standalone and you're like, right, what guidance have I got to follow, and can I be doing this or can I be doing that? When you're part of a network, you've got that support and guidance to help you, but the fundamental is still the same. They are a small local business owner. They're not part of some faceless brand that doesn't care and it's all about the money. It's definitely not what it's about.
Yeah. So you have about 40 franchisees now, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We run from Glasgow down to Plymouth.
Fantastic. So the thing I like about that is you've now got 41 minds that are highly motivated to make the business work and to come up with ideas to pivot or adapt when a new challenge comes along, right? I'm guessing you meet up on a regular basis with your franchisees?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. We always talk about, the franchisor giving all the time and being there to have all the answers or do all the work. But that is a really good point you make, Ed, that actually you're part of a network and it isn't all about me and the head office staff. It's about you're bringing people in that will see the business with fresh new eyes and go, oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? And you get creative together. And also that support then ends up being completely two-way when a pandemic hits you. And as the franchisor, you're like, I've actually never been through this before, so I'm not quite sure what the correct route and guidance is right now. So let's work together. Let's figure this all out together. So massive help for me, because we would like, right, okay, I think we can go online. I think we can create this sort of package now, or this video. Let's get creative and do this, or let's start a TikTok account and do all of this. It's about coming together and having, as you say, 41 minds dealing with a problem or an issue rather than just one.
Yeah. So from the outside, so I've kept tabs on your business and what you've been doing. You seem to have managed to keep energy constantly throughout the whole of the the lockdown period. So I was going to ask you, how have you managed to keep that energy going? But I'm guessing from your answer, that your previous answer, it's because you've got that network supporting you. But perhaps I'm wrong.
Well, absolutely. I think it's when you are in a network, you are helped both ways. But also, I think when you feel a responsibility for other people's livelihoods, you have to keep motivated.
Yeah.
You have to keep that energy, because if you don't, then how can you expect your network to? And that isn't, I think what we need to realize is, as well, is that I'm fortunate in that because of maybe the dancing or the nature of what we do, I have to have that energy to, I still deliver the classes myself. And I do know this pandemic has hit many people in a worse way, that, there wasn't that ability to face certain things or move on with certain things. But I think for me, my motivation was making sure that the network stayed afloat and that I could give them the best knowledge and guidance and support as I could. And if that was me leading them by going online first and showing them how I can deliver a class online, whether it's me doing a 24-hour dance-a-thon for charity last year in this room, or whether it is going, right, let's create a new video of this, or right, I'm going to get on TikTok now and keep going. It was what helped me keep going, because I didn't want that to feel I was letting anybody down. I wanted to make sure they felt fully supported and guided throughout the whole way, but also acknowledged what I needed to do for my own mental health. And for me, that was keeping dancing. Sitting around not dancing, I know over Christmas I was feeling a bit of a low and just feeling a bit, as we all did, sluggish over all that food and all of that.
Yeah.
So in January, that's why I started doing these dance sessions on live, because I knew I needed to dance more to lift my mood and keep me motivated. So I think I just knew that that was the way I had to keep going during the year for myself. And then that kept me motivating for the others as well.
So it's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, really. If you sit down and think about it, that's 40 livelihoods that you're kind of concerned about, and they're looking to you a lot of the time to have the answers. So I think you've done really well to come through it still smiling and still energetic. So
Only just.
You mentioned TikTok a couple of times now, so I want to find out why start a TikTok account. I appreciate you're probably looking for opportunities to get the name of Diddi Dance out there in the digital world a bit more, but why TikTok? That to me was for kids, which I suppose
yeah, and that was my impression of it pre-pandemic as well. So we can blame Sean Goldsmith and Maddie Alexander Grout for it. They nagged me because they were both went on it and they said this would suit Diddi Dance so much. And for me, it was, oh God, really? At my age, I don't think I could get my head around a new platform. But actually what it was you're trying to keep a presence out there, bearing in mind, especially in the kids activities sector, everybody went online. There was so much noise online of, do this for free, or do this for this amount of money, or get on this, or, jump on with Joe Wicks in the morning. Everything was online, and it was almost like an overload of online presence. So it was about, yes, we can keep delivering the classes here, but actually what is trending right now? What is really popular? What has suddenly soared during this pandemic that we could try and utilize to help keep our business afloat and in the forefront of everyone's minds? And for me, yes, I got a nudge into it, but when I started looking at TikTok, it soared so much. Everybody was, so many people were furloughed, so many parents were at home, and they had all turned to TikTok as their mental health release of, let's have fun, let's do some funny dances or comedy lip syncs. So all these parents had suddenly gone onto this platform that I thought, okay, maybe now is the right time to do it. I wanted to have a presence. I wanted to keep us out there to customers. And I thought maybe this is the platform to explore. And I did. And, you know, like I was said before about dancing, actually going on TikTok every day was great for me as well. It kept my mood light, kept me laughing every day, kept me dancing as well. So I think it just soared as a social media platform during the pandemic, that I thought we need to jump on this and utilize it to benefit the business, which it has.
Yeah, makes sense. But you do keep saying that you were forced into these things. You were forced into teaching a class. You were forced into doing TikTok. And I think you can say no, right? So yeah, at any point you could have said no and you didn't. And, you know, I think for you personally, you should be proud that you've managed to achieve what you have done. You know, with a little nudge maybe, but that's what I'd say, a little nudge rather than being forced or pushed into it. So you've built up an audience of it looks like it was nearly 50,000 followers last time I looked on there on TikTok.
Yeah, so close.
and I'm guessing that probably not very many of them are toddlers. So I was wondering, has it actually created opportunities for Diddi Dance, whether that's for your own classes or for your franchisees' classes? Has that actually had a big impact?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing about it as a platform is it's not a direct selling platform. So like your Facebook pages or your Instagram account, where you are pushing the brand message out there all the time. It's more of an entertainment platform. So it's about just subtly pushing the brand out there. But for me, it was a platform that really could showcase, you know, we work with under fives, we work with toddlers who are savage and hilarious and cutthroat and blunt as anything. And how can I portray that into a platform, one, that we understand this age group and we think they're brilliant, and two, to show that we're dancing and having fun. And so I think the route that we went down on the videos was gaining a lot of attention. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm followed by a lot of children on the app, but then you'll do a video talking to camera about the business more, and they'll be like, I used to go to Diddi Dance when I was 2. And so it's reinforcing the brand just into people's brains, but especially around August time. So I started the account in June, and around August time, as we were getting ready to reopen, all these parents that were following the account, or I was following, they were all like, oh right, oh okay, oh I might give that a try now you're reopening in September. So we had a lovely little surge at that time, and then as the account has grown and we've really pushed the message also of, you know, dance for mental health and dance for lifting moods and dance for all ages and all abilities, as we've pushed that message as well, I think it's just branched out to even more people, that even if they're not a parent, they know someone who is. And so it keeps a really nice steady flow, and it's not only great for inquiries but just for that brand awareness as well.
Yeah, sure. So I saw that you did some posts where there were live events of, I think, where you were dancing with people of all abilities and all ages, and it seems to me like that maybe that's a different avenue for Diddi Dance to go down in the long run. Is that part of your plans to kind of diversify your classes?
Well, we have been doing, actually. So I thought about this hashtag, the moving mission, a couple of years ago, and I started using it as a hashtag because I wanted to really push the benefits of physical moving for mental health and how it makes you feel. Because our Diddi Dance classes aren't technical, they're not, you know, your disciplined technical classes. It is about that feel good factor. We're there, we're laughing, we're having fun. And I thought, but that doesn't stop. Even when you get older, you're still getting the same buzz from dancing to music. So I'd started looking into that a while ago, before the pandemic. But during the pandemic, I thought it was even stronger. It was such a strong message that we needed to push even more. And I think it just marries it in really well. And we've always, so I'm wheelchair dance trained, and a few of the franchisees have done their qualification now as well. We've been developing our SEND programs for quite a few years as well. And my franchisee in Colchester really leads on that with us. She does an amazing amount of SEND only classes in her area. Our classes are quite all inclusive anyway, because of the age group and with various different abilities. Because of the physical nature of the class, they can still get a lot out of it. But then if you want to go down the route of making them more SEND specific, going into the special needs schools or into the parent groups and providing some respite care while the parents might take a break, and you can work with the carers and do sessions that are more adapted to children with disabilities as well. It's something we've been developing anyway, but I think during this time we've just enhanced it even more. And I've moved into it a bit more personally with older ages as well. But the message has always been that core message that dance is for all ages and all abilities, and we're just making that first introduction to it, but that can carry on when you get older as well.
Yeah, it's cool. I liked it. It got me. I think there was one sitting down move that you were doing, and I was like, I'm gonna have to do it just for a minute, just to to give it a go. And I agree with you that the movement and dancing can bring you a smile to your face and help your mental health. I make sure I dance with my kids a little bit, at the weekends. We have breakfast and then have a little dance and do some silly stuff, nothing I'd do in public, but,
and that's it.
Doesn't matter.
That's what I think the pandemic has taught us, that actually you don't necessarily have to be out there doing it. You can do it, be silly as you want with your kids, have your own little dance party at home. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. No one has to watch you. It's fine.
Fantastic. Well, look, in terms of franchising, then I want to go back to that to find out kind of the backgrounds of the franchisees or franchise partners that you have in your network. Where did they come from?
So a lot of our franchisees have been customers, which is great. So there's no formal training that a franchisee would need, because we're not teaching any technique or alignment or posture. It really is about finding the right people who can engage toddlers. It's a very different way of teaching. I've taken on many qualified dance teachers as teachers back in the day, and they just can't relate to that age group because they're so used to teaching the older ones where everyone joins in, follows what they're doing, and they get to this age group and Johnny's over there picking his nose and Lily's just spinning on her bum, and they're just like, oh no, this isn't for me, this is chaos. So it's about finding the right people who can engage this age group. So we've had a lot of customers become franchisees. We've had a lot of our teachers who've then moved away and become franchisees, but also we've had a lot of primary school teachers as well, gone from the whole, what it's like now, especially such a hard job, such an amazing job. They are heroes, but just sometimes the teaching life is too much, and so they're like, right, I'm ready to be in control of my own hours and work-life balance now. And so we've had a lot of teachers, but actually we've also had accountants and bankers and quite a wide range actually.
So do the franchisees hold the dance classes themselves, or do they bring on board other people to run the classes?
Mostly we try and look for franchisees that do want to teach themselves as well. It's not a massive lucrative business here. The territories are large enough for a management franchise, and actually it's been great that many of them have ended up expanding slightly, or even just taking on a team of teachers and eventually stepping back. But we try and encourage, for profit margins, it's ideal if you want to teach the classes, because also I think when you're delivering a service-based business that works with this age group, I think it's really good if you are, or if you have been teaching the classes. Many of the franchisees don't now teach classes, but they did to start with, or they were heavily, and we still get them all to train in delivering the classes, because you've got to have that level of understanding of how this age group works. So most of them do, but it's great that quite a few of them have got to a point where they've expanded enough and now do sit as a management franchise with a team of teachers.
Yeah, but I think it's good that you understand and you recognise the limitations of the opportunity that you have, or not limitations, but the parameters in where this works. You're not trying to just churn the money through as quickly as possible. It's not that sort of machine, where you're just saying, right, let's get more.
They do not come to our open day, and I'm not there going, yeah, get them 6 figures in. You'll be there soon.
No, it sounds like it's something that's maybe more something that suits a lifestyle, but also allows people to have the financial benefits to be able to run their life the way they want it to. With what sounds like quite a lot of fun, to be honest with you. 2 to 5 year olds aren't that judgmental in how you dance, so.
Oh, I don't know. You have to be in a class with a load of them. Why are you doing that? Especially with my hair as well, there is plenty of stuff where they're just like, why is your hair like that? Ugh. Yeah, they just speak their minds. They can be quite savage.
Fantastic. So what's been the funniest story then, or strangest or weirdest story that you've got from your time in Diddi Dance, or maybe before?
Well, I mean, there's plenty with this age group. Our branding is blue, so I'm in a blue t-shirt a lot of the time. I do have very short hair, so I think they come in and the automatic is, are you a boy? You just automatically get that all the time, and you're just like, no, but that's okay. And also, I think the funniest thing is, not since September, because obviously we're all socially distanced now, but so many times you'll be in the middle of dancing and there's ribbons waving, but they're at that height where a quick headbutt into a certain area, or suddenly you're sent over to do a shape and they're literally right by your behind and things like that. You're just like, oh, that's not safe. There's been plenty of them, but yeah, they crack me up. I think it's such a great age group to work with. They're brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's it's really funny because, like you said, they're exploring the world and learning everything, aren't they? So they're quite inquisitive, but perhaps don't have the right words all the time either, do they? Or the balance.
Yeah,
so yeah,
it's not really those filters there. There's no filter.
Excellent. But I guess then that becomes quite inspirational that you're the first kind of impact they might have into the dance world. So you've been going for 18 years. I'm guessing you might know some individuals who used to go to your classes and have come back. So are there any inspirational stories that you've picked up along the way?
We've got so when we had our 15th birthday, we tried to get in touch with as many sort of ex-Diddi dancers as possible to find out. And yeah, we've got a couple of ballet colleges over in Australia now. We had a guy who did go on and perform with some of the top artists. It's just lovely hearing the stories of those that do now continue on to dance. Two girls who I used to teach now teach Diddi Dance as well, which is amazing. And it's just that, it's funny as well, because I'm going to claim that forever. So when they go on and have a dance for you, go, well, I was your first dance teacher, so I will claim that. But it's just that thought of, was I potentially that spark that ignited something that has made you carry on doing it? The thought of knowing that is so rewarding. But as I said earlier, also the responsibility of knowing that you want to make sure that they enjoy these things and they love it, that it's not something that they would ever be put off by.
Oh, that's fantastic. That sounds awesome. I can imagine sitting there watching TV going, oh yeah, that's me. I did that. sort of.
Yeah, 20 years ago, but hey, still me.
Fantastic. So we've said it a few times, you've been running this for 18 years. So how has first of all the kind of toddler activity group scene changed over that time, but also how has franchising changed in your opinion over that time? Has it differed at all?
Yeah, I think in the kids activities sector, so I know you've said there's not many around you at the moment, but actually the kids activity sector now is really, really quite saturated. There are loads of different things, and it is great, but from languages and dance and music and drama, sensory, messy play. I always laugh on an open day saying you can get a toddler class for literally tying a shoelace nowadays. There is so many different classes opening up all the time. There is a lot more competition nowadays, as it were, to when I first started. And that's not a bad thing. People are always having children. There's always a market out there, and every child is different. They love different things. So if they're not loving coming to a dance class, they might love going to a languages class or going to a music class, something completely different. So that's definitely changed. It's definitely a much larger market now, which is great. And then franchising, I know particularly when I first started, I found it quite an intimidating world. And one, coming in as a female, and two, coming in as a dancer with no business background or no franchising knowledge. I worked really closely with a consultant because I wanted to get it right. But every event or meeting or networking thing that I went to in franchising, I felt quite intimidated that I didn't fit in, that what do I know? So definitely that imposter syndrome was always there because, I just dance around with toddlers all day. So you almost start to define yourself by the sector you work in rather than I'm a franchisor and I'm a business person and I am worthy to be here. It was just, but I just dance with toddlers all day. So it was definitely a bit more of a bigger, intimidating world then. And I do find that maybe more of us females and more of us in different sectors now coming into the franchising world, it does feel a lot more diverse and a lot more welcoming and not as, your classic men in suits style franchises. There seems to be a lot more diversity and creativity in the franchises that are on offer nowadays.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I've only really been in the industry for a couple of years now, but my thoughts and opinions were always, my first experiences actually was it was a little bit like suit and tie, grey hair, that was kind of the look. But certainly since the pandemic, and we've started to find ways to engage and talk to each other and support each other more. My eyes have been opened up massively to the number of different styles of brands out there and different approaches actually to how to run a business, how to support franchisees. And the creativity is the thing that I like the most actually. Everybody's looking to move forwards. It's not an industry where people kind of just sit back and go, right, we've done that. Not on the whole anyway. Obviously there are some people, but I found it to be a pretty inspiring place to be a part of, and everybody I seem to interact with has a similar outlook on it. And speaking with people like you as well is an enjoyable thing that I'm doing at the moment. So I want to wrap this up because I'm conscious of time. But one more question before we go. So anybody that's maybe listening to this who's perhaps fed up with employment or is looking for an opportunity to build out their own business, and they're going, okay, well, let's have a look at franchising. What would be the piece of advice that you give to them?
I just think it's the best way to start your own business. I know all the struggles I went through starting something from scratch, and I don't think people always realise how much work it is, but how much cost is involved when you start thinking of, website. And I know there's lots of DIY website builders and all these things, but your branding, your IT, your social media, building all of this from scratch can be really time consuming and really costly. If you have a passion for something and somebody is already doing it, why not then invest into that? Because it's a proven brand, it's a proven model. You're not going to be on your own. You're still going to run your own business, but you've got someone there to hold your hand whilst you build it up and guide you through the whole process. When situations like a pandemic or crises happen, you've got someone there to turn to. You're not going to be on your own. I just think franchising, to buy into a network, is the best thing you can do. and there are franchises for all industry sectors, there is usually going to be something. If you've got a passion for it, there is usually a franchise offering out there for it. I think it's a great way of starting your business.
Awesome. Anne-Marie, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you and hearing your story. So yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, Ed.
No worries. Take care. Bye.